today. It is my list of 8 surprise Steelers cut candidates after the conclusion of Steelers mandatory minicamp. We did a cut candidates video about a month ago, but I think that, there's some more updates that I wanted to put on this list here, so that's what we're going to be doing today on the show. If you are excited for training camp in Latrobe, all right, I'm going to be going there that first weekend to watch the first few practices of Aaron Rodgers in Latrobe there at St. Vincent College. It's going to be fantastic, guys. I'm super excited. If you're with me on that, click that thumbs up icon if you are ready for Steelers training camp. Now, before we get into my list here, I just want to make it abundantly clear. I'm not necessarily, making predictions here that all 8 of these players are definitely going to get cut. All right, I'm just saying these are 8 players that have had roles with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the past and have made this roster before that I think could get cut based on their current standing in the Steelers roster. The first name that I want to talk about here, Cordarrelle Patterson, the running back, special teamer, kickoff return man, whatever you want to designate him. I thought he was going to get cut at some point during the offseason because you could have saved a little bit of money by letting him go. I didn't think there was any, after not really being a good kick returner for this team and then, getting injured last year a little bit, he added some weight, frankly. I'm a little surprised that they're keeping him around, but, now you look at the running back room, you got Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson. Those are going to be top 2 guys. You bring in Kenneth Gainwell to be your rotational piece. You bring in Trey Sermon this offseason as well, somebody that's got some playing experience. And that 4th running back spot, I think, is really going to come down to Cordarrelle Patterson or Trey Sermon. The team actually released Ward today. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But I think Patterson probably gets the axe here. I think Sermon right now probably has the inline road to win that job, unless the Steelers somehow feel like he's still a valuable kickoff return piece. Which I would kind of doubt at this point, or at least I hope that they doubt that at this point, given the way he played last year. But I do think he's in danger of getting cut at some point this offseason or during or after training camp. Then we get to Scotty Miller here, the wide receiver who made this team last year, played some time with the various injuries that the Steelers had last year in this room with Roman Wilson and George Pickens at times. Scotty had to come in and get some pretty decent reps for this football team, but I do think that with the wide receiver room as it currently stands right now, and then the fact that I think that they're going to be adding another wide receiver before week 1, I look at this depth chart and what it's going to look like once they add that next wide receiver, and I just don't know if there's much room for Scotty Miller to make this final roster. Right now, I expect DK Metcalf to obviously be your every down number 1 receiver, but then there's going to be some sort of rotation between Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson, and Robert Woods. At least the way that it's currently constructed. And I do think Ben Skoranek, who's an excellent special teamer and blocker, will also make the team. So there's really only one more spot for me on this wide receiver room, especially if they add one more wide receiver. And I think Scotty Miller is kind of the odd man out, in my opinion, if you're going to be keeping 6 wide receivers on this roster. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Will the Steelers add another wide receiver before the start of training camp? And if they do, who do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be Amari Cooper? Is it going to be Keenan Allen? Is it going to be Romeo Doubs? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by letting me know which receiver you think the Steelers will add before training camp. We move on to the defensive side of the ball, where James Pierre, somebody that's played a lot of ball for the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last several seasons, got cut by the Washington Commanders last year, who had a terrible cornerback room. And, I don't think Pierre's very good. All right, he's had some splash moments, but you have Joey Porter Jr., you have Darius Slay. Beanie Bishop Jr. right now is slated to be your nickel. We'll see if they end up bringing in Jalen Ramsey, who's being heavily linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point. Corey Trice Jr., Brandon Echols are almost certainly going to be making the team. Dante Kent was a draft pick, so I think that he will be with this team in some capacity this year. I just don't see a lot of room for James Pierre to make this roster, especially if they bring in Ramsey. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with the cornerback room. I think Pierre gets the axe. Then Mark Robinson, the interior linebacker that's made this team, for multiple seasons. He's been kind of a thumper, kind of undersized player that's more of a special teams type of player. But you look at this interior linebacker room, man, and they brought in, Malik Harrison this year in free agency specifically to play the role that Mark Robinson has played on special teams in years past. So that definitely was not a good sign for Robinson's future for this team. But if they want to keep the guys that, are almost certainly going to make this team, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, and Malik Harrison. Then not to mention you drafted Carson Bruner in the late rounds of the draft this year. It just seems like Robinson is continuing to be put down the totem pole. And I think he's got an uphill battle to make this team this year. Then DeMarvin Leal, it just seems like every single year we've been waiting for DeMarvin Leal to finally show us something. And, he just hasn't happened. No, he's had some injuries, all this different stuff. Apparently he's put on some weight this offseason, which isn't a fantastic sign. Might be looking to play a little bit more on the interior this year. But when it comes to the outside linebacker room right now, I just don't really see where he fits in with it. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, Jack Sawyer seem like a really good foursome of outside linebackers for your football team. So, if Leal's going to make this team, it's going to be as an interior player. But as we're going to talk about here in just a second, there's definitely going to be some competition in that grouping, as well as Isaiah Loudermilk, Dean Lowry, and Logan Lee, in my opinion, are all potential cut candidates for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into training camp. And I don't think all these guys will get cut. I want to make that abundantly clear, but I think that all of these guys are kind of in competition for that last spot or two on the defensive line here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You bring in Derek Harmon, you bring in Daniel Ekuale, you bring in Y.A. Black, all these different guys along the interior of the defensive line. And, the question is, how many offense or defensive linemen are you going to hold on to? Are you going to hold on to 6, 7, maybe 8? Like how many are you really going to be bringing in here for the start of the season? I'm sure some of these guys will probably be practice squad type of players, and they will, continue to be with the organization, but there's only so many spots on the final 53-man roster, and apparently Loudermilk has had a good offseason program, so he'd probably be the favorite of these three to make the roster, and the team does like Dean Lowry, but you look at the guys that they have in this room, they've got their 3 starters right now that are going to be playing a majority of the snaps, and then they've got kind of their backup guys locked and loaded as well, the guys that they brought in free agency, drafted in the middle rounds like Y.A. Black, for example. There's definitely, decreasing spots on this defensive line, which is really, really deep heading into this season, where these 3 guys, Logan Lee, Dean Lowry, and Isaiah Loudermilk, are going to have to play really well, not to mention DeMarvin Leal. If he wants to play on the interior, these guys are going to have a good camp if they're going to earn a spot on the final 53-man roster for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let me know down there in the comments section, who will surprisingly not make the final 53-man roster for your Pittsburgh Steelers this year? Is it somebody we had on our list today? Is it somebody else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. But just a quick recap here, guys. My surprise cut candidates for the Pittsburgh Steelers as it stands right now: Cordarrelle Patterson, Scotty Miller, the only 2 offensive players I have on my list today, but James Pierre, Mark Robinson, DeMarvin Leal, Isaiah Loudermilk, Dean Lowry, and then Logan Lee, all players that have had roles on this team in the past that I think could be axed by the time we get to week 1 of the NFL campaign. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for more in-depth Steelers videos like this one. And like I said, if you're excited for training camp, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon to let me know you're excited.